Alright guys, one more video for you. I've been wanting to do an updated recommended upgrade parts for the MWS, because the video that's out there, it's a couple years old, and some things have changed since then, which, spoiler, that's not what this video is going to be. But one of those aspects is the buffer. You know, I still do recommend an aftermarket buffer, and the GMP is a good one. The Angry Gun heavy recoil, I don't really recommend anymore. One, they're kind of expensive, hard to find. Well, price, it's about what it is for a buffer that weight. But I think in one of my videos I showed, like, I have a pin that holds in kind of the rear of it, and that started kind of locking itself out. Also, I don't like that it's not really a one-piece buffer. It's a spring-loaded two-piece buffer, and that spring-loaded end cap, there's a pin that holds that in, and that on mine started locking itself out and then got bent, and now I can't really get it back in. Hasn't been an issue, and it still works for me, but honestly, what I've been doing for the last year or so is just running real steel AR-15 carbine weight buffers. You can get those, I mean, again, depending where you are in the world, I'm not sure how easy those are to source. Here in the United States, it's simply a part that you can order online or get in a local store. And they typically run about $15. So for me, it's easier and cheaper to source that, AR-15 carbine buffer. It's going to be cheaper and easier for me to source than, say, a specific specialty airsoft part I have to ship from Asia, which most of these things I have to ship from Asia. I know e-bike is starting to carry more MWS parts, which is pretty cool. But again, if you're in the States especially, I would highly recommend, honestly, I hesitated to recommend these for a while because I wasn't sure if perhaps there's some, damage that could be getting caused somewhere, or maybe there's some negative effects. But honestly, I've been running it for over a year now, and I haven't had any issues. So I think I'll go ahead and recommend using real steel buffers. Caveat being, I'm not quite sure they'll fit the stock buffer tube. So you might need an aftermarket buffer tube, which frankly for, 30 bucks or so, I know all these parts do add up, and it's not strictly necessary, but for 30 bucks or so, I do tend to recommend a one-piece solid buffer tube, and that will allow you to run any type of aftermarket buffer. Even the GMPs, it can be confusing because they have a couple models, one of which will only work in aftermarket buffer tubes, again, because they're slightly wider. So if you try to buy that one and stick it in your stock MWS, it's going to get stuck in there. You're going to have a bad day. So that's the only caveat, but otherwise I've had really good luck with them. A stock carbine buffer weighs about 3 ounces. That Angry Gun buffer, I'd have to check back on my notes, but I want to say it's around maybe 4 ounces or so. That's getting up into, like, say, H2 territory or H3 territory. When you're looking at real steel AR-15 buffers, they come in different weights. So the stock carbine weight is about 3 ounces. They have an H1, which is going to be slightly heavier, H2, H3, H4. So they're just going to get heavier and heavier and heavier. So you could go out and buy the heaviest one, like, say, an H3. Now, those start to get more expensive. Those can run you anywhere from $35 to $50, honestly, because they use tungsten weights. And you will get more recoil out of that. But for me, I found that the 3 ounce buffer weight is about perfect for what you want. And it's going to give you a much nicer felt recoil, which is going to make gameplay much funner, or more fun. I don't know. I think funner should be a word if it's not. But past that, I personally, I don't find the extra weight, the extra recoil too noticeable. Yet they cost 3 times as much, and also they're not as versatile as far as just like temperature range that you can use them in. So a 3 ounce buffer, even in colder weather, I'm usually able to still get away with running that pretty much year round, versus something like a 4 to 5 ounce buffer. Well, now you might seriously consider swapping that out to a lighter buffer during the winter months. So it's just something to be aware of. As always, anytime you're messing with the buffer system, changing out buffers or tubes, etc., make sure you check your clearances, make sure you check your bolt cycle, how far it goes back, make sure it's not contacting that lower receiver. I have another video on that, so go ahead and look that up if you're not sure what I mean. But just be aware of that fact. You're going to want to tune your buffer system for whatever new parts you're putting in there. And anytime you swap parts, like if you do swap buffer from summer and winter, you want to make sure that you check that always and respace things as necessary. So I think that's basically it. If you have any questions, let me know. Thanks, guys. Take it easy.